Hey, what's up, you guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Creepy and Paranormal Podcast. I am your host, Shane Campbell, and today we are going to dive into a case that has haunted the nation for decades, which is the heartbreaking, enigmatic story of JonBenet Ramsey. Cue the intro. Now, before we proceed, I want to emphasize that the events we'll discuss are not only deeply tragic, but also remain unsolved to this day. My intention is to remember JonBenet's life, explore the facts surrounding her death, and raise awareness about the importance of seeking justice for all victims. JonBenet Patricia Ramsey was a vivacious and talented 6-year-old beauty pageant queen from Boulder, Colorado. She radiated a contagious charm and brought joy to those all around her. Her parents, John and Patsy Ramsey, doted on their little girl and believed she had a bright future ahead. The night of December 25, 1996, should have been filled with holiday cheer and warmth. But tragically, it became a night that would forever change the lives of the Ramsey family and captivate the nation. On the morning of December 26th, Patsy Ramsey made a horrifying discovery. JonBenet was missing from her bedroom, and a cryptic ransom note was left in her place. The error-filled ransom letter was addressed to JonBenet's father, JonBenet, and threatened, "Listen carefully. We are a group of individuals that represent a small foreign faction. We respect your business, but not the country that it serves. At this time, we have your daughter in our possession. She is safe and unharmed, and if you want to see 1997, you must follow our instructions to the letter." The supposed kidnapper demanded you will withdraw $118,000 from your account. $100,000 will be in $100 bills and the remaining $18,000 in $20 bills. Make sure that you bring an adequate size attaché to the bank. When you get home, you will put the money in a brown paper bag. I will call you between 8 and 10 a.m. tomorrow to instruct you on delivery. The delivery will be exhausting, so I advise you to be rested. The writer of the letter ordered any deviation of my instructions will result in the immediate execution of your daughter. You will also be denied her remains for a proper burial. The two gentlemen watching over your daughter do not particularly like you, so I advise you not to provoke them. Speaking to anyone about your situation, such as police, FBI, etc., will result in your daughter being beheaded. If we catch you talking to a stray dog, she dies. If you alert bank authorities, she dies. The note's writer also added, if the money is in any way marked or tampered with, she dies. You will be scanned for electronic devices, and if any are found, she dies. You can try to deceive us, but be warned that we are familiar with the law enforcement countermeasures and tactics. Follow our instructions, and you stand a 100% chance of getting her back. The reporter kidnapper concluded, you and your family are under constant scrutiny as well as the authorities. Don't try to grow a brain, John. You are not the only fat cat around, so don't think that killing will be difficult. Don't underestimate us, John. Use that good southern common sense of yours. It's up to you now, John. Victory. Now, that ransom letter is a critical piece of evidence in one of the most infamous unsolved murder cases in the US. So, the ransom letter was discovered by JonBenet's mother, Patsy Ramsey, on the morning of December 26, as mentioned before, just a few hours before JonBenet's body was eventually found. The letter was unusually long, and it demanded a ransom of $118,000 for JonBenet's safe return. The letter also stated that the kidnappers would call the next day to provide further instructions. However, there were several suspicious aspects of the ransom letter that have been extensively analyzed by the investigators and experts over the years. Some of the notable points include: Number 1, the unusual amount. The ransom amount of $118,000 was almost identical to the bonus that JonBenet's father, John Ramsey, had received earlier that year, raising suspicion that the kidnappers had inside knowledge of the family's financial situation. Number 2, handwriting analysis. Handwriting experts have studied the ransom letter and have not been able to identify the author of the letter. Some believe that the handwriting may resemble Patsy Ramsey's writing, but this remains a point of contention. Number 3, strange wording and phrasing. The letter used peculiar language and unusual phrasing, leading some investigators to believe that the writer might have been attempting to disguise their identity. And number 4, the note was written inside the house. The ransom note was written on a notepad found inside the Ramsey home, raising questions about how an intruder could have gained access to it. As the investigation unfolded, the Ramsey family came under intense scrutiny from both the media and law enforcement. The case took numerous perplexing turns, and a wide range of theories emerged. Many speculated that the parents were somehow involved in their daughter's death. The ransom note, the crime scene, and the circumstances surrounding the case seemed to create more questions than answers. Yet, amidst the theories and accusations, it's crucial to remember that JonBenet was just a child, a beautiful soul taken from this world too soon. As we discuss the details, let's remember the significance of preserving the innocence of every child, both in life as well and in memory. Over the years, numerous investigators, journalists, and amateur sleuths have dedicated their time as well as resources to finding the truth behind JonBenet's tragic fate. Despite the passage of time, the case has never been officially solved. We must still approach this topic with empathy, understanding that it's not merely a story or a puzzle to be solved, but a human tragedy with real, lasting consequences for those involved. So now I want to go through the sequence of events surrounding the discovery of JonBenet's body. So, it starts like this. The 911 call. Patsy Ramsey, JonBenet's mother, made a frantic 911 call on the morning of December 26, 1996, reporting that her daughter was missing. During the call, Patsy mentioned finding a ransom note demanding $118,000 for JonBenet's safe return. The initial police research. Now, upon receiving the 911 call, Boulder police began searching the Ramsey's residence. Friends and family members were also present in the house at the time. John Ramsey, JonBenet's father, and a family friend named Fleet White went into the basement during the search. It's reported that they initially didn't find anything significant. However, just a few moments later, John Ramsey discovered his daughter's lifeless body in a small, windowless storage room known as the wine cellar. JonBenet's body was found with her hands bound and duct tape over her mouth. She was lying on her back. There was a garrote around her neck, and her body was covered with a white blanket. The ransom note was also found on the premises. After the discovery of JonBenet's body, the police launched an extensive investigation into the case. The crime scene was thoroughly processed for evidence, and numerous interviews were conducted with the Ramsey family and other individuals associated with the case. The murder of JonBenét Ramsey still remains unsolved to this day. In closing, I'm going to be looking at 5 different theories revolving what's happened to JonBenét. Number 1 is the intruder theory. This theory suggests that an unknown intruder or an outsider broke into the Ramsey home on the night of the murder and committed the crime. Supporters of this theory point to the broken basement window and the ransom note as evidence of an intruder. However, critics argue that there is little concrete evidence to support this theory and that the crime scene appears to be staged. Number 2 was family involvement. Now, some theories propose that one or more family members, including Patsy Ramsey, John Ramsey, or JonBenét's older brother Burke, were involved in the murder or cover-up. Advocates of this theory point to the unusual circumstances surrounding the discovery of the body and inconsistencies in the family statements. However, the Ramsey family has consistently maintained their innocence, and no charges have been filed against them till this day. Number 3, Burke Ramsey accidental death theory. Now, this theory suggests that JonBenét's death was an accident caused by her older brother Burke Ramsey, and according to this theory, a sibling altercation led to an unintentional fatal injury, and the family covered up the incident to protect Burke. Some proponents of this theory point to the behavior of Burke during interviews and various forensic analysis of the case. Number 4 is the sexual predator theory. Now, this theory proposes that JonBenét was the victim of a sexual predator who targeted her due to involvement in beauty pageants and the media attention she received. Supporters of this theory argue that the nature of the crime, the garrote used in the murder, and other evidence may suggest the involvement of an unknown predator. And number 5, the Patsy Ramsey culprit theory. A variant of the family involvement theory points specifically to Patsy Ramsey as the perpetrator. Some theorists believe that Patsy, in a fit of rage or due to a perceived motive, accidentally or intentionally caused JonBenét's death and then staged the crime scene to make it look like an intruder committed the crime. For me, I must be pretty honest, and I hate to point fingers at anyone in specific when it comes to this case, but yeah, it was really a strange case, and I must say I've always found it very fascinating, the JonBenet story, and I always lean towards family involvement of some sort, whether it was Patsy or the brother Burke. I don't know, it's just really, really interesting. I know people will bring up the point that there was DNA found inside of her panties, JonBenet's panties, which could indicate sexual assault. However, it is inconclusive because there was a mixture of DNA between an unidentified male as well as JonBenet. So if it's an unidentified male, people might be saying, well, then that definitely rules out the family. Well, I heard a podcast the other day where one of the DAs was discussing that, in fact, upon further investigation, and like, I never thought about this at all, but they looked at the manufacturer of those panties, and I think they said they were made in some factory in India potentially. And they said that in that culture, or in that part of that area, I'm sure it was India, I can't remember to be exact, but in that culture, factory workers often spit because of whatever reason, whether they're chewing something or I don't know, I can't remember the exact details, but they said that spitting was quite common, and that's potentially where some of that saliva or DNA might have come from, because when there's an unidentified male, it means that the DNA in the actual archive of DNA in America, for example, that Indian male won't be in there because he lives in India, not in America. So that potentially could cover that side of the story in terms of unidentified male DNA. So yeah, I still tend to lean to the family involvement somehow. I'd love to be wrong, because the thought of knowing that her own family caused her needless murder is just horrific. But it is a theory that still needs to be explored and investigated. So, yeah, what do you guys think? What do you think happened to JonBenet? I'd love to hear your thoughts and views on the case, but at the end of the day, this poor young, beautiful little girl lost her life, and you know, whether the family's guilty or not, they've got to live with all of that terrible emotion and feeling of losing a loved family member. So, yeah, thoughts and prayers go out to all of their friends and family, and we just hope that one day the family will find justice before it is too late for them. You know what it is. Now, it is the end of the show, which means that when you go to bed tonight, do not forget to look under your bed for something laying, creeping in the dark, or potentially in your cupboard, peering out at you, waiting for you to close your eyes.